I never imagined that the happiest day of my life would turn into the most confusing and terrifying night I've ever experienced. Have you ever been so alone that even the people you trust the most feel like strangers? That's exactly how I felt that night. Still in my wedding dress, glittering with tiny sequins that caught the soft resort lights, I was standing in the middle of our suite, trying to make sense of what just happened. My husband, David, had looked at me with that familiar, charming smile, the one I thought I knew so well, and said, "I need air." And just like that, he walked away, leaving me alone in the dark, our honeymoon suite silent except for the ocean waves outside. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. The irony of it all made my chest tighten. We had spent months planning a perfect destination wedding, at a luxury beach resort with twinkling lights, a private beach, and an intimate guest list. I had dreamed about this moment my entire life, laughter, family, dancing under the stars. And yet, in the first hours after becoming his wife, I found myself abandoned. My best friend Sophie had warned me about David's moods before the wedding, but I brushed it off. Surely, nothing could ruin this night. Or so I thought. As I stood there, heart pounding, I realized something else. The suite felt strange. Not the cozy romantic kind of strange, but the kind that sets every nerve on edge. The ocean breeze carried an unusual chill, the lights flickered just enough to make shadows dance across the walls, and faint noises, too faint to identify at first, echoed from somewhere in the distance. I tried to convince myself it was nothing. Maybe the wind. Maybe I was imagining it. But then I heard it again. Moans, low and unmistakable, coming from the room next door. My mother-in-law's room. I froze. My mind raced. How could this be happening? Why would she even be here at this hour, and why did the sound intimate? My pulse raced, adrenaline surging through every vein. Every instinct told me to look, to run, to scream, but curiosity, that dangerous trait, anchored me in place. I wanted answers. I had to know what was happening behind that closed door. And as I inched closer, the soft carpet muffling my steps, I knew that whatever I was about to discover would change everything I thought I knew about my husband, my family, and the night we were supposed to celebrate love. But what came next would change everything, and no one saw it coming. Have you ever felt like your life turned into a scene from a movie, but the script was a horror you didn't agree to? That's exactly what I felt as I crept down the hallway toward my mother-in-law's room. My heart was hammering so loud I thought David might hear it from wherever he was. I kept telling myself, maybe I'm imagining things. Maybe it's just the ocean or the wind. But no. The sound was real, unmistakable, and impossible to ignore. I clutched the edge of my wedding dress, the fabric slippery in my hands, and tiptoed closer. Every step felt like eternity. My brain was screaming, "Stop, turn back, go back to your suite," but my curiosity overpowered my fear. Why now? Why tonight? Margaret, my mother-in-law, had always been controlling, hovering, the kind of woman who made you feel like nothing you did was ever good enough. But this was beyond anything I had imagined. What was she doing in the middle of the night? And why did it feel so wrong? I paused at the slightly ajar door, just enough to peek inside. My breath caught. Shadows moved. I could see her silhouette, the dim moonlight painting her against the wall. And then I heard the voice. A low, guttural sound, unmistakable, private. My stomach dropped. Was someone else there with her? My mind raced. David? Could he have been here all along? The thought seemed impossible. He had told me he needed air, hadn't he? But the timing, the voices, everything pointed to a secret I was not meant to uncover. Every instinct told me to run, to scream, to lock myself in the bathroom and call Sophie. But I couldn't. Part of me, maybe the part that had invested years, love, and hope into this family, needed to know the truth. I leaned a little closer, careful not to make a sound. I could make out words now, fragments that made my blood run cold. Betrayal, secrecy, plans, whispers that I wasn't supposed to hear. And just as I was about to step closer, the doorknob rattled. Someone was coming. I froze, heart in my throat, praying they wouldn't see me, praying I could disappear into the shadows. What happened next? That's where it all spiraled. What I saw next would make me question everything I thought I knew about my husband, and about myself. What would you do if the people you trusted the most suddenly became strangers in your own life? That's the question that haunted me as I pressed myself against the wall, holding my breath, watching the doorknob rattle. The door swung open slowly, just a crack, and I caught a glimpse of movement. My heart felt like it was trying to escape my chest. Every nerve screamed at me, run. But I stayed. I had to know. The silhouette inside shifted, and I realized with a jolt that it wasn't just Margaret. There was someone else, someone I knew. David. My husband. My newlywed husband. They were there, whispering, laughing quietly, moving closer together in a way that made my stomach twist. I couldn't hear everything, just fragments. Hushed tones, laughs that didn't sound right for a wedding night, words that made me feel like I had been punched in the gut. I told her she couldn't know, everything has to stay secret. I could feel the betrayal pressing down on me, suffocating me. For a moment, my mind refused to believe it. Could I have misunderstood? Maybe it was just a conversation, an innocent one. But the next sound shattered that fragile hope. A low, intimate moan. My knees went weak. My world blurred. I stumbled back slightly, pressing my hand against the wall to steady myself, but I couldn't tear my eyes away. The people I had thought I knew, the people I trusted, were hiding a secret so intimate, so shocking, I didn't even know how to process it. Every memory of the day, the smiles, the toasts, the laughter, suddenly felt like a lie. Did David plan this? Was he in on it? Margaret's role now made horrifying sense, the controlling behavior, the overbearing presence. It wasn't just about tradition or etiquette. It was about something I wasn't supposed to see. And yet here I was, trapped between fear, disbelief, and a burning need to confront the truth. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run. I wanted to shake them both and demand answers. But as I took a step closer to the door, my foot caught on the edge of my gown. The dress ripped slightly, the sound sharp in the quiet suite. David's head turned. Margaret's eyes widened. And suddenly, I realized they weren't just whispering anymore, they were aware someone was there. I froze. Heart pounding. Breath shallow. What they did next. That's where everything escalated, and nothing would ever feel safe again. Have you ever had a moment where time seems to freeze, and your entire life hangs in the balance? That's exactly what I felt as David and Margaret's eyes locked on me, the torn edge of my wedding dress visible in the dim moonlight. I wanted to disappear. I wanted to convince myself I had imagined it all. But there was no escaping the truth anymore. Whatever was happening in that room, I had just witnessed it firsthand. I took a trembling step closer, my voice barely above a whisper. What's going on? My heart pounded so loudly I was sure they could hear it over the crashing waves outside. For a brief second, the room went silent. Margaret's face was unreadable, stone, controlled, and cold. David looked guilty, but there was something else too, something I hadn't seen in him before. Fear. Panic. And then he tried to laugh it off, the kind of nervous laugh that only makes your stomach drop further. Lila, it's not what it looks like. Not what it looks like? I could barely process the words. Every nerve in my body was screaming at me to run, but I couldn't. Not yet. I needed answers. I had invested years of my life, love, and trust into this man, and now, suddenly, everything felt like a lie. I asked again, louder this time, demanding the truth. Margaret stepped forward, her presence imposing, and said words I will never forget, "Some things are better left unknown." Better left unknown? Was she serious? My wedding night, the night I had dreamed about since I was a little girl, was being hijacked by secrets, betrayal, and lies. I could feel the rage boiling inside me, hot and terrifying, but so did something else, clarity. I realized I wasn't powerless. I had choices. I could let this destroy me, or I could confront the reality and decide what I would do next. Before I could react, David reached for my hand. His eyes pleaded, desperate, but I could barely hear him over the sound of my own heartbeat. And then, just as I was about to step closer to demand answers, there was a sudden noise behind me, a knock at the door. Sophie. My best friend, checking in on me. My heart leapt and sank at the same time. I turned toward the door, unsure if help had arrived. Or if it was about to make everything worse. I froze, staring at Sophie's silhouette in the doorway, my chest heaving. Relief and panic collided inside me. Relief that someone was there. Panic because now I had to face everything, the truth, the betrayal, the lies. For a moment, the entire wedding, the ocean, the glittering lights, felt like a distant dream. Nothing mattered except the choices I had to make in that very second. Could I forgive? Could I confront? Or would this night mark the end of everything I had believed about love and family? Sophie stepped closer, whispering, "Are you okay?" But how could I be okay when my husband, the man I had trusted, and my mother-in-law, the woman I had tried to impress, were wrapped up in something I wasn't supposed to see? I took a deep breath, feeling a mixture of anger, heartbreak, and a strange sense of empowerment. I realized that this was no longer about them. This was about me. About the life I wanted, the boundaries I would set, and the respect I deserved, even on my wedding night. David tried to explain, his voice shaking. Margaret looked unreadable, cold, unyielding. And I listened, every word, every half-truth, but I didn't respond immediately. I let it all sink in, letting the shock wash over me so I could decide clearly, without panic. And in that moment, I understood something vital. The people you trust the most can sometimes be the ones who test you in ways you never saw coming. But that doesn't have to define you. How you react, how you protect yourself, is what matters. By the time the sun began to rise, the crashing waves outside mirrored the chaos inside me, and I knew things could never go back to the way they were. Some relationships might be mended, some trust rebuilt, but some truths leave marks that can't be erased. And maybe that's okay. Because in that chaos, I found clarity. Strength I didn't know I had. And a voice I had almost forgotten existed, the one that says, "I will not be silenced. I will not be hidden. I am my own person." If you've ever faced betrayal, secrets, or the shocking unraveling of someone you trusted, remember this: it's okay to be angry. It's okay to feel hurt. And it's absolutely okay to reclaim your life, your boundaries, and your power. Because some nights break you. But some nights also teach you who you really are. So tell me, have you ever discovered a truth so shocking it made you question everything? Comment below, share your story, and subscribe for more true tales that shock, inspire, and make you rethink what you thought you knew about people closest to you.